Well, welcome, Emery, to our Sustainable Solutions Bioenergy and Bioproducts show. I'm so glad that you've joined me here. We're going to do some fun experiments and learn some good things about bioenergy. You come to the museum on a regular basis for science enrichment, don't you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So when we talk about sustainable solutions, what does that bring to mind?
Things that break down in like natural ways. Like they can be recycled and composted.
Okay, yeah, those are really good examples of making sustainable solutions for garbage that we create, like food waste and plastic materials. We're going to look at even more broadly than that and define sustainable solution as something that doesn't harm the environment or people in it that are living right now or in future generations. So we're going to go a little broader. And we're going to specifically talk about bioenergy and bioproducts. So if we break those words down and we look at bioenergy and bioproducts, what would you think that those words mean?
So bioenergy is like what plants use to make their food.
Okay.
And what we can use to power like our cars with solar panels and our electricity.
Yeah, exactly right. So bio means biological, right? Or something that was recently alive. So we're going to be talking about energy sources from plant material. And when we have a lot of plant material that's used for energy production, we call it biomass, okay? And then a bioproduct is something that can be made from plant material. So specifically, we're going to be talking about a lot of products that are currently made from fossil fuel plastics, and could they be made from something that is based on plant-based materials, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are coming to everybody here in the video from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is right on the border of Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And right outside our door here is the Tennessee River. Have you ever been on the Tennessee River?
Yeah, I went paddleboarding on there.
Awesome. And you know what? The Tennessee River was in the news recently for a very unfavorable reason. And that was that it's one of the 5 most polluted rivers in the world. When you were paddleboarding, did you notice anything that you would classify as pollution?
Yeah, like the river was a little bit like cloudy.
Okay.
And, like, dirty, and then you could see the bits of plastic if you looked closely.
Oh, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about, are microplastics. So the Tennessee River, right outside our door here, is one of the most polluted rivers with microplastics. So if you lift up your pinky finger right here, and you look at the fingernail, the width of the fingernail, that's about 5 millimeters. So a microplastic is any plastic bit that is 5 millimeters or less, okay? And you're going to be shocked to find out what the source of the majority of those microplastics is. Shopping bags. Do you get these when you go shopping?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I know.
Try to
bring your own. That's a really good sustainable solution, right? But a lot of places, they won't even let you bring them right now. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to that. But yeah, so these shopping bags blow out of people's cars, or they blow out of the junkyard or whatever it is, and the sunlight breaks it down, but it doesn't make it go away completely, like you said, compost or turn back into the original ingredients, right? Yeah. It doesn't happen. And the problem with that is that it's creating a really big plastics problem. Since they don't compost and go back into the earth like plant material does, right? Yeah. They just stick around. And less than 8% of the people in the United States actually recycle their plastics. Do you guys recycle your plastics?
We try as much as we can.
Yeah, but it's kind of tough because sometimes they aren't able to be recycled, right? Yeah. And so we've got these mountains of plastic waste that are being generated, and what's happening is developing nations are more than happy to receive our trash for payment, and they don't have the ability to handle the waste any more than we do, and so it's ending up in our oceans. In fact, in the Pacific Ocean, there is a huge island of plastic trash that is twice the size of Texas.
Ooh.
That's not good, is it? And so what's happening is wildlife, marine wildlife, is being entangled in fishermen's nets that never degrade. You might have seabirds that, oh, they see a little colorful piece of plastic and think it's a food item and dive down and get it. And of course, it doesn't digest, right? So it turns out that it plugs their digestive system up and they perish. So where are plastics coming from? Do you know? I think I already mentioned it, but were you listening? Where?
It comes from oils.
Right, exactly, specifically fossil fuels. So you can take this and kind of move it around. This is an example of crude oil. So crude oil is an example of fossil fuel. It's harvested from the earth. Crude oil takes millions of years to form, and it's basically plant and animal material that is compressed under heat and pressure for millions of years to form this crude oil. Coal and natural gas would be other examples of fossil fuels. So do you think that would be a renewable resource or a non-renewable resource?
It sounds like a non-renewable.
Yes, not very renewable. Anything that takes millions of years to form is not very renewable, right? And so if we look at all of the plastics that are in our world, let's see here. What do you got on here? You've got some stretchy jeans. Leggings, those are made with plastic. Did you know that? That's what gives them the stretch.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Your shirt, is your shirt stretchy? Mine is a plastic shirt. This tabletop, plastic. A lot of the things that, the carpet that we're standing on. Sharpie, all these kinds of things are made from plastics. I mean, it's a very versatile material, but we have become way too dependent on fossil fuels. And so a lot of researchers are spending a lot of time and money looking into ways to stretch our fossil fuels. And for a long time, they were developing a way to create a gasoline additive called ethanol. And ethanol is a liquid fuel that's added to gasoline that burns much cleaner. It doesn't generate as many greenhouse gases. That's a good thing, right? And it extends the amount of fossil fuels that we have. But it's time that we go even further. And so what we're going to be talking about today is the research that the Center for Bioenergy Innovation is doing around poplar trees. Do you know what a poplar tree is? Do you have any growing in your yard or near you?
I don't think so.
No? Well, they're very widely dispersed throughout the United States and other parts of the world, and we're going to be learning a lot more about them. So what we're going to do right now, Emery, is we're going to play a game called Biomass Bingo. And so you've got a card here, and if folks are following along on the View It and Do It program, they're going to have their own laboratory kit that will have this biomass bingo in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up an object which is currently being made from fossil fuel. So it's a fossil fuel plastic, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you if it could be made from plant material. Go ahead and pick it up, it's all right.
Okay.
If it could be made from plant material, don't make any mark on your bingo card. If it cannot be made from biomass or plant material right now, not in the future sometime, but right now, put a big X through it, okay? So the first object on the bingo card is a plastic cup. So what do you think? Could a plastic cup that, you know, holds water, it's not going to melt or disintegrate, you know, if you've got it full of liquid, could this be made from plant material?
Like wood, I think.
Okay, so you're going to say yes for that one, so don't put a mark on the card. All right. Okay, water bottles, soda bottles, sports drink bottles, right? They're nice because they're very portable, they're lightweight, you know, they don't break, but
they're plastic.
They're plastic, and we saw the mountains of plastic trash that are being generated. So what if this could be made from biomass that would be composted and turned into soil? Could that happen? Is that available right now? Could
Not right
plastic?
now.
No? All right, then put a big X through it.
I bet it could be made in the future, but not right now.
Not right now. Okay, that's all right. That's fair. All right. Now, every time you go to a fast food restaurant, you probably don't do that, but if you did go to a fast food restaurant, this would be, I said that because you told me earlier that you were vegan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's not too many vegan fast food restaurants anywhere yet. Maybe someday, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a plastic spoon. Tell me, now this has to be used for hot and cold. You know, you don't want it, again, disintegrating when you're using it.
Yeah.
Could this be made from plant material?
I guess, again, wooden spoon, like.
Okay, so don't put that then. So we'll leave that open. So, how about this one? A plastic Ziploc bag. These are pretty handy, right? You can put food in them. They don't get stale. Could this be made from biomass, from plant material?
Not, well, I'm trying to think.
Just give it your best guess.
I haven't seen any, like, plant-based Ziploc bags.
Okay.
So.
All right, then put an X through it. All right, so these are packing peanuts, right? So packing peanuts are very nice. They're full of a lot of air, but styrofoam packing peanuts are made of fossil fuels, right? So they're never going to go away. But what do you think? Could these packing peanuts be made with biomass?
I think so.
You think so? All right, so don't mark that one off. Oh, we've already talked about these, haven't we? This is the source, the primary source of microplastic pollutions in the Tennessee River. Could this be made from biomass or plant material? What do you think?
Well, it could be made into a bag, but then that's kind of like a different, like a reusable bag.
Okay.
But then, like, if you want to get the plastic thing, like, if you want it to be like it is, then you'd have to.
So fossil fuel plastics is the only thing that can kind of do this. Yeah. Okay, all right. All right, excellent. All right, now this is a funny one. A shoe. So you are wearing leather shoes. Oh, no, maybe not.
Fake
Yours
leather.
are probably fake leather, and you've probably got a fake leather sole. All right, so those are plastics, right? Made from fossil fuels. Could my plastic shoe, this one is made from recycled plastic bottles. Could my shoe be made from plant materials so that when I was done with it, I could just put it in the compost pile and go back to the earth?
I think so.
You think so? All right, then don't put an X through it.
Yep.
All right.
I keep, like, taking it out to put a check on.
I know, it's kind of confusing. All right, so here we have a drinking straw. Again, anytime you go to a restaurant, they hand you a plastic drinking straw. And these become really a problem, as we've seen with the plastic problem. So could this be made from a plant material?
I've seen it. I've seen paper straws.
Paper straws. So would that be considered a plant material?
Yes, because it's made from, like, trees.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's don't put an X through that. Now this one's kind of confusing because we've got 3 separate items. This is a three-fer. We call this a three-fer, 3 for 1. So we've got a hard plastic case. Okay. And then we've got the cellophane tape, and you've got this sticky stuff that holds it, right? Mm-hmm. So all 3 of these items are currently being made from fossil fuels, plastics made from fossil fuels. Could each one of those 3 be made from biomass or plant material?
I think the outside shell could, but then the other, I don't think so.
Okay, let's just put an X through it then.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
But I think the outside might be, like, will probably be able to, like, if you used wood or bamboo or.
Okay.
Yeah, like certain bio-inspired, like, or not inspired, but like.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Plant material.
Yes, plant material.
Okay, awesome.
That's the word I was looking for.
Good. All right, well, you did an excellent job. Would you like to know the answer?
Yes.
Well, good, because I'm going to tell you that the answer is yes to every one of those. Every one of the products that I just showed you on the biomass bingo game can currently be made from plant material.
Cool.
So that makes me think, Emery, if all of these things can be made from plant material already, why are they not? Why do we not see more of them available in the marketplace? What do you think?
Maybe because they are cheaper.
The fossil fuel ones are cheaper. Yeah, exactly. That could be one reason. Do you think of anything else?
it's easier to make for people.
So we have a lot of experience
Yeah.
using fossil fuels and making plastics from fossil fuels, and bioplastics is kind of a new thing, isn't it? In fact, were you here when we did the bioplastic lesson?
I don't think so.
No. Well, we did. We made some plastics using cornstarch.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so you had some really good reasons. It's cheaper and we know how to do it. Can you think of one more reason that...
Already widely available.
Yeah, it's already out there, and people don't like change. Do you like to make changes? You do. So some people really like change, but a lot of people, they're kind of set in their ways and they don't want to make changes. So poplar trees might be a really good solution to our need to create a lot of biomass. I mean, if we think about all the products that are being made from fossil fuels, right,
Yeah.
we're going to need a lot of plant material to replace them. So the Center for Bioenergy Innovation is doing research on poplar trees. I think I mentioned before that they grow everywhere. They've been widely studied. In fact, they know the entire genetic sequence of poplar trees. And they can grow in a wide variety of environments. The other advantage of using trees and plant material in general is that they are harvesting carbon dioxide from the environment, combining that with sunlight and water from the soil in a process known as
Photosynthesis.
photosynthesis. You're exactly right. And so the trees take those components, the sunlight, the carbon dioxide, and the water from the ground, and they create sugars. And that's what the scientists are needing. They're trying to get to those sugars. And it's called cellulose. And cellulose is the thing in the plant that gives it its structure and makes it stand up, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where the sugar is. So they're creating these specific biorefineries, which are places where you can take all that plant material that you've harvested. Now, the nice thing about poplar trees is you can cut down the tree and it'll regrow. So you've got a continual supply of that biomass. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And so the biorefinery is where you take the cellulose, the plant material. It's turned into butanol, which is similar to the ethanol that we spoke of earlier, right? It's a plant fuel, liquid fuel, but it has a lot of energy and can be used for jet fuel.
Cool.
And then the waste material, so the sugar is turned into butanol, and then you've got some fibrous materials and things like that, that you can turn into products. All those products that we just talked about, like shoes and cups and plastic bottles and spoons and all those different things can be made from the waste material from the biorefineries. And guess what? When you're done with them, they don't go to the landfill. They turn into compost. And then you use that compost and turn that back into the soil as an enrichment to the forest. And it's a great cycle. So what the scientists are going to have to do is create a super poplar, right? They're going to need to create a tree that grows really fast, that makes a lot of sugar, and doesn't use a whole lot of water, right? Because some parts of the country and the world have restricted amounts of water. So we're calling that the super poplar. And so this is happening in genetics laboratory. Now you could just select for trees and do some breeding over many, 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 many years, but you know what, we're running out of fossil fuels. We need to make that happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing the genetic laboratory. So this gentleman has different sticks made of from the poplar trees, and he's going to be extracting the genetic material. So we're going to do an experiment, and we're going to talk about a physical change versus a genetic change. So in your laboratory kit there, you've got a bag that says golden rice. Okay? And inside the bag, you have some plain old white rice. Okay? Now, white rice is used as the primary calorie source in many, many areas of the world. And the problem with that is that it doesn't have a lot of vitamin A. And in areas where their primary calorie source is coming from rice, children are developing blindness from vitamin A deficiency. So scientists got this great idea. Well, let's make some golden rice, and the golden rice would have higher vitamin A content, and we could solve that problem. So what you're going to do now is gather the rice down in the corner of your bag, okay? And then you've got a little vial that's got some yellow food coloring. Perfect. So take the lid off of that yellow food coloring, and with the rice gathered down in the corner, I'd say let's put, oh, you have to push down first. There you go.
Wait.
Exactly. Did it get on you? I'll get you a towel. All right, so then just give yourself about 10 drops. 10 drops. And then squish it around. All right, and you want to zip it closed. Perfect. And just squish, 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 squish. You'll have yellow fingers for a little bit, but it does wash off.
Yeah.
So while you're squishing that around, you want to completely integrate that food coloring in with the rice. I'm going to tell you that the scientists that developed this golden rice were actually getting the vitamin A gene from a daffodil plant. And they extracted that gene specifically for the vitamin A. And once you've got it, you can pour it out onto your little watch glass here, and we can look at it. And they would have a carrier of that gene, and they would put that gene into the rice, and the rice did have higher vitamin A content.
Cool.
You did it. Excellent job. So tell me, Emery, what do you think? Does this golden rice that we have here, did we change its vitamin A content? Did we change anything about the genetics of that rice?
Mm-mm.
We didn't, did we? What did we do?
It.
We just colored it. It would be like coloring your hair, turning your hair
not like
purple
making
or
your hair,
red.
You're not coloring your hair, you're coloring it.
Yes, exactly. Or if I wanted to have blue eyes and my eyes are brown, right, I could put a blue contact in. But did I change my genetics?
No.
No, exactly, exactly. And so that's really important distinction for us to understand is the difference between a physical change and a genetic change. Because what we're going to be talking about now is actually changing the genetic material in a living thing like a tree.
Yeah.
And to do that, we need to understand inheritable characteristics. So I always fold my right hand over my left hand. Just fold your hands. What do you do? Oh, so you go left over right. Okay. So I bet if you check with your parents, one of them or more of them does it that way.
Yeah.
Can you roll your tongue like this? Yes, that's a genetic trait.
We did that in science once. Almost all of my family can do this, and almost all of my family can do this.
Exactly. That's because it's an inherited trait. Your eye color is an inherited trait. Freckles. Do either of your parents have freckles?
Not really, but I know someone who does.
Someone in your family has freckles? Yeah. Your hair color is an inherited trait. All of those things, that information is carried in your DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Can you say that one? Deoxynucleic acid. Ribonucleic.
Oh, I heard myself.
That's okay. Good job. Good job. All right. So this is a picture of DNA right here in the chromosomes. So the chromosomes are what carry this genetic material. And you can see the little twisted strand there? Mm-hmm. That's the DNA that we're trying to extract. So we're actually going to extract some DNA from wheat germ. So you have in your little pack another kit that's called DNA. There it is. Perfect. And so in the preparation instructions, the students were instructed to fill their cup 1/2 full of hot water and to put a little slosh of soap in it, and then to add the wheat germ. So wheat germ comes from the wheat plant, which grows, it's a grain, and you harvest the little grains, and those grains contain the wheat germ, which is the genetic material. That's where it is. Yeah. All right? So what we've done here, oh, and then we also added meat tenderizer. So the meat tenderizer and the soap and the hot water are all been breaking down the walls, the cell walls of that wheat germ. All right, so our next step, oh, the other thing that people were supposed to do was to put their rubbing alcohol on some ice. So can you hand me mine, please?
Yes.
Awesome. So that's just going to kind of shock those cells and cause them to separate a little bit more quickly. All right, so what we need now is the microcentrifuge tube, which looks like this. So you want to find that. Perfect. And you want to open the lid. Excellent. And you're going to put your, take your the pipette. Perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to suck up 2 pipettefuls of just the juice. We don't really want the wheat germ, right? So just push it in there. If you don't know how to do it, you just push on the bulb, stick the point in, and then release, and that sucks it up. And then we're going to put 2 full micropipettes of the wheat germ juice into the microcentrifuge tube. Excellent. Should be about half full. Is it about half full?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to top off the microcentrifuge tube with our rubbing alcohol. So go ahead, and you're just going to put some drops in there until it's completely full of the alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Perfect. And then you want to carefully snap that shut. And then you're just going to rock it back and forth gently. We want that rubbing alcohol to be incorporated into that wheat germ juice, and we want it to extract the DNA. Okay? So we're just going to rock it back and forth. And it just takes a couple of minutes. So we're just sort of creating a way for people to understand that it's really pretty easy to extract DNA. So now if I hold it up to the light, can you see little strands of white in there?
Yeah.
That's the DNA. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Wasn't that hard, was it?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the first step for making this genetic modification. We're going to need to extract the DNA. All right? So the next step is once you have extracted the DNA, and as I said, the scientists already know where every gene in the poplar tree is located, and so they're going to cut out the specific genes that they're looking for, and we're going to do an experiment called the Virex delivery system. So you should have another bag, and inside your bag you should have some scissors. So get your scissors, and you should have 2 pieces of yarn. Okay. And you should have a gelatin capsule, and you're going to take the 2 pieces of your gelatin capsule apart. That's it. And you should have a sticker. And I think you need a pencil or a pen. All right, just pretend. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that these 2 pieces of yarn, so what we're doing is we're creating a model, right? So when things are too small or too large to experiment with, scientists create a model so that they can study it. So if each one of these strands of yarn was 1 strand of the DNA, we could twist them like this. Can you see that? And that would simulate the DNA sequence, or the, the double helix. The double helix, all right? So now take your scissors and cut both of those strands right in half, all right? So we're just going to cut them in half. Bloop. That's where the gene is located. You know, just cut them in half. Perfect. And now we're going to take 1 piece of the red and 1 piece of the yellow. And on your sticker, I want you to write which gene characteristic you want to insert into this new material. So you could choose the increase growth, so you could put an up arrow and write grow. You could choose decrease use of water, so down arrow, H2O, right? That's the chemical formula for water. Or you could put up arrow and put sugar. C6H12O6 is the formula for sugar. All right, so choose one of those and write it on your sticker. And then we're going to insert that genetic material into our DNA. All right, so we're going to use the sticker and just take the sticker off, and just if you lay these end to end like that, maybe overlap them just a little bit. Perfect. And then lay your sticker right on top, like that, and then wrap the edges around. And we've just created a model of a genetically modified strand of DNA. So now what do we do with it? Well, we have to have a delivery system, and that's where viruses come into the picture. So this capsule is representing a virus. Now, viruses have been in the news a lot lately because of the pandemic, but not all viruses are bad, right? And scientists can use the DNA or the mRNA in the virus to be a carrier of that new genetic material. So go ahead and stuff that into your capsule. This is going to be our delivery device for getting that genetic material into the plant. Awesome. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Very good. Well, whew, this has been a whirlwind, hasn't it? We've talked about how these plant materials could be the solution to our overdependence on fossil fuels. We've talked about this delightful way that plants and trees specifically can harvest carbon dioxide and sunlight from the environment and create sugar, right?
Yeah.
And that sugar can be turned into butanol, which is jet fuel, or it could be turned into any of these bioproducts that we've talked about. Awesome. So do you have any questions after going through this whole process? Do you have any questions about bioenergy or bioproducts that we can talk about?
Not really. I think I understood it very well.
Awesome.
Was there, this isn't really about it, but was there something we were supposed to do with this?
Oh, well, that's more of that genetic material. Good question. You could use that to carry another gene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you make that extraction, scientists don't let anything go to waste, so they could probably use it in another way. So one last thing I want to do, Emery, and that is to look at all of the things that we use today and sort of evaluate whether they could be composted and stay out of our waste stream, or if they could potentially be reused, or maybe we have to do the throwaway thing, right? But what we did was we tried to be really conscientious about things that could be either reused or composted. So let's talk about these green bags, these Ziploc bags. If you remember from the Biobass bingo game, we talked about Ziploc bags. What do you think? Could this be composted or reused?
I think so. It says certified compostable.
It says right on the bag, right? So that
Yeah,
makes that an
it's
easy one. Exactly. This is made of cornstarch.
Cool.
Yes. All right. And let's see. Let's talk about these little spoons, because one of the things that we had in our biomass bingo was that plastic spoon.
This,
What do you think about this one? Are there any clues on it?
looking. Compostable.
Compostable, exactly right. So this is, again, made out of plant material, so it can be completely composted. What about these cups that we used for our DNA extraction?
All green all the time.
All green all the time. So this, again, is made from paper, which is a wood-based product, right? So that can be composted. And what about the gelatin capsule?
Let's see for hints.
You're on to me. You're looking for hints.
There's no hints.
No hints. So gelatin is an animal-based product, but it dissolves in water. So very easy to compost and get rid of, right? So let's see. Oh, wheat germ.
Yeah.
And the rice. What do you think about those? Compostable?
Yes.
Obviously, yeah, they're plant material.
They're-
And we've got some plastic materials, unfortunately, that are not made from plant material. So we've got our pipette, our two little vial things here, and our microcentrifuge tube. So unfortunately, they are made of fossil fuels, but do they have to go in the landfill? What could we do?
We could use them again.
Use them again, exactly, because I think they're really cute, don't you?
You could just use them for, like, if you wash it out, you could just, like, if you have something, like, that you don't want to have, like, a lot of, like, a lemon juice, and you could, like...
I like that idea. Awesome, awesome. And then, unfortunately, our yarns are made from acrylic, so they have to go in the trash. And then there's one last thing, and that is that cold pack that was provided. And it says, don't reuse it again. and that it has to go in the trash, right? So we did as much as we could that was compostable. And really that's what this is all about, right? Thinking things through and making choices that are what? Good for the environment right now, as well as good for the environment later.
Yeah, so
right?
instead of throwing this in the trash, you could put it in the recycle, or you could use it again even, like.
Exactly, or compost it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being my student here today, Emery, and thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.